yes, because Enrique's a really good guitar player, and I think Mark Knopfler was one of his many influences. But it goes back 10 years, yeah.
Right.
And I'm sure I've written about it when they came out. And when they started, they were a completely different band.
Right.
They didn't really embrace their like he and his brother are Panamanian, and the other two guys in the band are of Mexican heritage. So they've really kind of turned and embraced their musical heritage. I'm not sure if they would call themselves that if they started today, but
right.
Back when they started, it was a homage to Mark Knopfler. Yeah.
Right. That sort of what you just described sort of is a good segue to what I was going to do later, which is one of your not second tier, but also recommended shows for this week, which is the Mavericks at Knuckleheads with their yearly visit. A little tear comes to my eye. This is the first time in about 6 times that I'm not going. I didn't get the VIP seat, so I was spoiled, and I said I'm not going. But now that it's concert week, and when I try to describe to people who are unfamiliar with the Mavericks what they are, it's just really hard to do, and except they're fun. But I saw one time it was like a 7-word description, like Texas swing, samba, Miami soul. I mean, it's just
with some Roy Orbison thrown in,
right? Yes, and with an operatic quality singer. How would you? What if somebody comes to you and they're unaware? How do you describe it?
I always describe their shows as like you're at the best wedding reception ever, like because people are dancing.
Yes.
And if you're familiar with them, you know all the songs. They have some really good songs. There's a pop sensibility to them that's really appealing, but there are a lot of influences, and some of them are, what they call world music or international, but they're also rock and roll. So.
Right.
At their roots, so that you could use easily 8 to 10 words to describe them, and not even completely zero in on their sound, but just listen to it. It's instantly appealing. Like it's really accessible, but it's unique.
No question, and also they always work in some kind of really offbeat covers or just riffs. I've seen them start into one of their own songs with the riff from Whole Lotta Love by Led Zeppelin before, and stuff like they'll do stuff like that.
I saw them once at Knuckleheads, and the train came through, and they changed the key of the song to match the sound of the train whistle.
Right?
They're super fun and really entertaining.
Yeah, and visually entertaining too. I mean, Jerry McFadden, Jerry Lee McFadden, that's his name, Jerry Dale McFadden, whatever it is. The piano player looks like a circus act up there.
They're very animated,
and Eddie Perez, the guitarist, has flamboyant long hair, and Raul's very engaging, the lead singer.
And they do shots every show, at least a few, yeah.
Yeah, and you're kind of wondering if, and they lost a band member to substance, they kicked him out due to substance abuse. He must have really been abusing, because they write songs about smoking weed, like from their last album, and they do shots on stage.
So he must have been pretty high threshold in that band, right?
He must have been pretty out of hand.
Yeah, which is too bad.
Yeah, it is too bad. We're speaking with Tim Finn. He, of course, is at In Kansas City Magazine, and you can hear him on 90.9 The Bridge every Thursday at 4 o'clock with John Hart, and that is always a very entertaining hour, to say the least. Can't miss for me. Talk about some of the shows that are coming up besides the easy segue from Panama to Cuba with the Mavericks. Coming up next.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
If you are looking for quality work on your home by a local company that values integrity as well as quality, then Easton Roofing is the easy choice. You're not just a number or contract to Easton, where no job is too big or too small. Owner Joe Spiker is always personally available to you if you have questions or concerns. For residential and commercial roofing jobs, large and small, attic insulation, gutters, and much more, Easton Roofing is the perfect choice for you. Among their countless accolades are 4 consecutive years as an Angie's List Super Service Award winner, over 60 5-star Google reviews, over 60 5-star Yelp reviews, and Best of House honors 4 years in a row. A hands-on small business named after the owner's son, Easton Roofing does things the right way. All repairs are completed by Easton employees, and the company is completely licensed and insured. Get the personal, quality work that you are looking for the most important thing in your life, a safe and beautiful home. Visit eastonroofing.com or call 913-257-5426. Make the best choice when you need help with your home. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. I've been Doobed, and you should be next. Yes, Doob, D-O-O-B. It's the keepsake of a lifetime, a 3D-generated, incredibly lifelike figurine. I just had one done of me. 66 cameras take an image at exactly the same moment in any pose, and state-of-the-art 3D technology transforms that into exact replicas of you, anyone you know or love, a pet, whomever is close to your heart. Create lifetime memories with a Doob. Visit their Facebook page at Doob 3D Kansas City, or better yet, see their incredible creations at their store on 119th Street in La Paloma Plaza near the Cheesecake Factory. Doob, be next.
For many people, a family law case will be one of the most difficult experiences in their life. The law firm of Kenneth McRae will help you through it. Personal and effective help from Ken in concert with you will develop a unique strategy for your unique case. As Ken always says, divorce can be civil law, not civil war. Licensed in Kansas? Visit McRaeLawOffice.com or call 913-972-4765.
Sumner One is the company to make your office maximize efficiency. Their family of companies make up one of the largest independent dealers of office technology in the Midwest. They are proud to bring the best service and technology to top companies across the region. Sumner One can help your organization run more smoothly than ever. Sumner One printers, copiers, MFPs, managed print services, document management, infrastructure design, IT services, disaster recovery, and business continuity. Welcome to the one place where everything works. For more information, call Carl Little at 913-752-2256. Back with Tim Finn from In Kansas City Magazine, our bi-weekly visit with him. Always a pleasure, always fun, always takes us to different places, and the places here in Kansas City, and one of his usual spots. It's just an absolute perfect place for you to go in Kansas City, because he always does the can't-miss concerts for each week, and it's a perfect primer for people to, I don't know how the hell, by the way, when I did the Bob Walkenhorst, I don't know how I missed the Secrets being inducted into the Kansas Hall of Fame. I just missed it. I'm heartsick about it, to be honest, and he told me during the course of the interview, I don't know how I missed it. How did I miss that?
Yeah, that's
because they played, and it was like a part of my. I must have seen him 75 times.
Wow. Yeah, I saw them a bunch when I was in Columbia at Mizzou. They played at the old Blue Note. They were just one of the bands. The Secrets and Fool's Face were two bands that you saw whenever they came to town. They came to town frequently.
Right.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting event every year. Some of the bands that they induct I've never heard of, but it's becoming more that I've seen a lot of the bands now. Like, it's catching up to me. Like,
right.
It's the bands that I used to see. Yeah. They were a part of, they were really good, sort of poppy.
Yeah, it was power. It was power
wave.
pop. Yeah.
Yeah. It was, they were a lot of fun. Really good songwriting.
I really, just as a side.
The Morels were another band I was trying to think of that used to play a lot.
Big, right. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed power pop music, and I think it still, in some regards exists to this day, and in some regard. I think it's seen as a short-term movement, but just the combination of energetic rock and roll, but it had to be sort of poppy to work. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a great genre, and still is, to be honest. What do you?
Well, there's so on the bridge last week we had a featured two members of a band called Deco Auto. Mm-hmm. Super power pop. It's like mainstream, middle, right, dead center power pop. And I just heard the new record from the Get Up Kids, who are out of Lawrence. Brilliant, super energetic pop music. So it's still out there if you look for it. It's a tough, it's not, the songs seem so simple, and the formula on the surface seems pretty easy to follow, but it's not. The songs are complicated, and you can't force it. Like, it's and it's probably my one of my favorite genres. Like, that's what I need in music is a melody.
Right, me too. We're similar in that regard.
The song is aggressive and loud, or really folky. Just write a nice melody, and there are bands out there doing it.
I think I mentioned this before. even a band as raw as Queens of the Stone Age or something. That's very melodic music.
Right.
And,
Well, Nirvana was melodic.
Right, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about some of the things that are coming up that people should be aware of. This does seem to be a good fundraiser music town, and you highlight something that's being done for Brianne Grimmer, and several local acts are going to be at that particular event at the Record Bar on the 26th. Just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, she's been in several bands, and she got this, no cancer is better than another, but she's got a particularly pernicious form that had invaded her spine, and it's in her lungs. So she's going through some pretty serious medical procedures. So a bunch of her colleagues in the music scene got together. There's like 8 bands, I think, that are playing. Amy Farron and the like are sort of the headliners. Amy is going to be on the bridge with us tomorrow.
Great.
To talk about this, and she's in their band is really, really good. Amy's been in some pretty different bands, like she's in Sister Mary Rottencrotch. She plays drums, and they're like a punk. It's pretty vicious punk, melodic though.
Right.
And she's been in several other bands, but this band is completely different from what she's done. It's like a rock soul band. They have a sax player that's really, or maybe he plays trumpet. I can't remember. I think he plays sax. Really good, and backup singers, and it's a real swinging band, but with attitude. So they're headlining it. A band that was really big around here in the 90s, Share UK. Drop a Grand is this really kind of funny, theatrical, kind of subversive rock band. They all wear costumes or masks or something, and you're not supposed to know who's in the band, but everybody does. So anyway, that's really funny. And then who else is in there? Knife Crime, which is, I guess, punk, like early punk. Anyway, so the lineup is really diverse,
right?
And all the money goes to help her sort of with her medical expenses.
Next show that you talked about was Arturo Sandoval, a show that I'm going to. I have never heard of Arturo Sandoval, to my discredit, until my wife said we were going, and I'm very excited now. I enjoy trumpet music, and he's one of the best. I was just Googling something, and as soon as I put in Arturo, the first one was him.
Sure.
So obviously he's top notch.
I mean, he's like the Dizzy Gillespie of his time, who's one of his mentors.
Right.
And yeah, he came out of a pretty rough upbringing in Cuba, in rural Cuba. He was poor, and he picked up the trumpet. And he was maybe before he was a teenager, he studied classical trumpet, but then somehow jazz came into his life, and he was gone. He abandoned everything else for that. And yeah, he's about as eminent as it gets as a musician. Like he is a true master, a legend. That word gets tossed around a lot, but it fits him. Like he's when the
Presidential Medal of Freedom,
right? But yeah, and rightfully so. That gets given out. I mean, I've seen a list of people who have received it, and like, really, that guy? Okay, but he deserves it,
right? This is going to be the dumbest thing I've maybe ever said on one of these segments, but I always found it hard to watch Dizzy Gillespie play the trumpet because he blew his cheeks out so big. I found that it was the Geddy Lee of trumpet. I found it off-putting.
You could listen, but you didn't want to watch.
Yeah,
it.
I didn't want to watch him play. That was really bad. Bad for me.
That's a tough instrument to master, though.
Yes.
I mean, you
do what you have to do
physically. I mean, you have to be, creatively is one side of it, but just the effort you exert in playing it. I have a stepson who plays the trombone, which is a very physical instrument.
Yes.
But the trumpet's right up there.
Michael Schenker Fest at the Truman, April 28th, and a guy who was just a baby when he was in the Scorpions, a band that was really kind of unique. I liked them, but there was some stuff they did I didn't like. But it was almost, you could tell they were German, which was unusual. It's not like British bands can't even hear their accent a lot of times. It's kind of a unique. What's their form now, or what is his?
Well, he's doing. So he left Scorpions when he was still a teenager. I think he was 19. Maybe he might have been 20. to go to the British band UFO.
Right. I
and
remember them.
That took off. I didn't really invest a lot in those bands at the time.